Good morning. How's my hair? Let me ask you a question, guys. Do you ever wonder about the TSA dogs? You know, the ones that supposedly speed up the line every time you're at the airport and you see the sign that like, oh, the canine's out. Like, you gotta walk by and the square, that quasi-rectangle. The TSA agent stands there with his husky and it runs up to everybody's bag, sniffing it out. It speeds up the lines every time. You never have to take off your shoes. You never have to take your laptop out of your bag. It's kind of great. But I'm always wondering myself, like, is this really doing anything? Because we always hear about how TSA is security theater. They don't actually protect us in any meaningful way. All the studies they've done where the TSA misses all the explosives and weapons and various things that go through the X-ray machine. And I could understand that. Humans are fallible, and when you're just staring at rectangular X-rays going continually by, hour after hour, minute after minute, you get sick of looking at people's shampoo bottles and books and shoes. Occasionally you let a 9-inch knife slip by. What can you say? So given that TSA is generally considered security theater, I wondered how much do these canine dogs really help? And that's how I found myself being sent to San Antonio, Texas, which is where the kind of elite canine unit is trained for the TSA. So I shipped out of New York City and flew down to San Antonio, Texas. Arrived, rented a car, grabbed my bags, and the actual training facility is a military base about 40-50 miles away outside of San Antonio, Texas, northwest. So I got my rental car, drove as far as I could, and then stopped at some very dilapidated Ramada Inn. The kind with the doors and the stairwells on the outside, totally unprotected. And I remember I was watching a Woody Allen film late at night and thinking like, man, I'm way out here in the woods at some dilapidated Ramada Inn. This is the perfect scene for somebody to just kick in this door, and I would be totally caught off guard. There was nothing I could do. There's nobody to call for help. There's not, this is it. There's only one door in and out, and this person would be blocking it. But I'm happy to report the night passed without note or event, and I left that dilapidated $60 Ramada Inn, got back in the car, and then drove to meet the kind of head leader of this training program. And the training program leader introduced me to the new recruits, as they happen to be training during this time, the fresh recruits pairing the dogs with the humans, which is the first interesting fact. They spend a great deal making sure that the right human and the right dog get matched up. So the canine program, the kind of explosive canines, that's a specific program where around 1,000 TSA agents, I can't quite recall the figures now, apply for the program, and then around 50, 75 get accepted each year. And they're flown down to this base in San Antonio where they're, for the first 3 days, paired with a specific dog. And the TSA actually take quite an amount of time making sure they get the right dog-human pairing. The first 3 days are really spent just ostensibly bonding between dog and TSA agent. And if the TSA agent doesn't happen to like the dog, or for whatever reason the dog isn't vibing with the human, they'll switch out the dog and the human right away. They'll be like, oh, we got to find a different pair. So the first 3 days are kind of just devoted to really developing a human canine bond. After that, each is broken into their little group, and they at this base they have a full-on dummy 737 where they plant explosives, and they train the TSA agent with the dog to go and try to find them. They hire extras to go around in the squares and circles that you see exactly at TSA lines at airports everywhere, and they train the dog and the human for weeks to detect explosives. And it's quite impressive. Although I'll be honest with you, they revealed to me that in reality, the highest amount of explosives these dog TSA partners can really detect is around 20. That's the upper echelon the dogs can be trained to detect. And there are a variety of plastic to traditional explosives. The TSA actually won't reveal what specific things they're trained to detect, like explosive-wise, but the upper limit's around 20. Another side note is that they're not trained to detect drugs at all. So if you're thinking of trying to smuggle your weed from California back to Nebraska or North Dakota, you're fine. Take your own risks, but that dog's not going to get you. It's not trained to detect drugs at all. Those dogs that you see at the airport are not drug dogs. They're solely trained to detect explosives. Interesting side fact. Maybe that will ameliorate some of my viewers' concerns. Now you take that information and do with it what you will. The other interesting fact that I learned is that once that dog and human are paired, they're paired. So once the training program is complete, which lasts 4 to 6 weeks, the dog and human are then shipped off to an airport, usually a high-volume, high-traffic airport, and not one that they're necessarily from. They're then stationed at that airport for 3 or 4 years, and that dog lives with that TSA agent. They're now kind of canine human partners. The dog becomes a pet. The TSA agent is responsible for, taking him home, providing him food, taking him to the vet, all the things you would do as a pet. They live together and work together. And so, when it's time to go to work, the dog will hop in the back of the TSA agent's car and they'll drive over to the airport, spend a day working, get back in the car and go home. And that's how it operates. That in reality, it's not like the dogs are kept separate and the TSA agents, come in and check in every morning and pick up a dog. No. That dog is specifically that TSA agent's. And it's a kind of cute little anecdote, nice little bookend to that story. Anyway, that's how I learned about the special canine unit for the TSA. It's a story I sent a report on a few years ago. If you found this story moderately insightful or even minutely interesting, like, subscribe. You can get more idiosyncratic observations about the media and journalism every day. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.